I'll tell you a little about my life. You might all need therapy afterwards, but it can't be any worse than Chris's life. I mean, people have been surviving Chris for years, so Chris Paget, that is. No. Been very, very blessed, Very, very blessed. That's a 14th century church in the center of Austria. It was a Carthusian monastery. A couple years ago, got a call. It was at a parish with a lot of really cool people like yourselves, really cool families. I was eating at people's houses all the time. It was fantastic. And, doing a little bit of work also. And then I got invited to take this job for Franciscan University and didn't really want to go. I didn't want to go to Europe. You imagine that? I talked to my older brother, who's always been straight with me. He's like, "You're an idiot. You're going." I said, "All right." You're right. Yet again. So anyway, I live just to the left of that church. Our house was built in 1330. Huh? You think Grandma and Grandpa's old. 1330. The walls are like this thick. And so we get a group of students that come every semester. They only stay for 3.5 months. A lot of them, they find it to be like either the most fun or the most meaningful semester that they have at Franciscan. But they go so many places. So we have to meet people constantly. They only come, so you're constantly meeting people. So I asked them, "Where do you want to go? What do you want to do?" And there they are. Isn't that nice? Traditional Austrian garb. That's Katie Blythe. It was on your Facebook page this morning, Katie. That's just outside the town. A lot of hiking. Beautiful spot. She's scandalized. Don't worry about it. That's some people are like, "I want to go to Switzerland and ski." It's a nice little lake in Switzerland there. You know where that is. A lot of people are like, "I got to get to Paris." It's a fantastic and beautiful city. We all go together to Italy. Any Italians in here? A couple Italians in here? People that think I'm Italian, I'm not, but it's all places on earth are beautiful. Maybe with the exception of like Columbus, Ohio. Sorry. Can't help it. But go Buckeyes, huh? That's Florence, Italy. Oh man, it's just fantastic. There's a hill on the other side of the river. And they go and they see so many places of beauty. That's Assisi, Francis of Assisi. That's the Basilica of St. Francis. You know where that is? St. Peter's Square in Rome. There's it from the front. That's up on top. Anyway, so that they go so many places. We had a student that went to 17 different countries in 3.5 months, constantly moving. And then at the end of the semester, there's always a video. And in the video, it's just highlights after highlights and people doing all kinds of stuff, drinking German beers. You can drink over there. Just doing all kinds of crazy stuff. We have a stream across the street. It's like 45 degrees, and some people jump in every morning. And why go and travel so much? Why jump in a freezing stream every morning? It's because people want to live life to the fullest. Do you want to live life to the fullest? Yeah. Of course you want to live life to the fullest. Of course you do. And every semester I hear that song on the video, because of course it's, the videos are slick nowadays. I did it all. You know that song? I did it all. All right. And that's sort of that's the mantra, and that's a really good thing. That's a really good thing. The question that we have to ask, the why question this morning, is what does this have to do with living the fullest life? What are we doing right now have to do with living the fullest life? You know it's a part of it. How does it fit in? People have been talking about various laws. Like laws, there's gravity. If I jump, I go to the ground because gravity is a law. God works in certain ways. And one of the things that is made clear today in the readings, while we are trying to live this full life, we have to come to terms with the fact that God doesn't usually yell. I might yell. You might yell. God doesn't usually yell. Would you say that with me? God doesn't usually yell. The whole Exodus story, moving the people out of Egypt, plagues of locusts and gnats, and the river turning to blood, the death of the firstborn, pitch blackness, the land covered in darkness. That is God screaming at Pharaoh. That's God screaming at Pharaoh, trying to get him to let this oppressed people go. The first reading, we hear that they're on their way out of Egypt after 430 years. Sometimes God will do that. But God doesn't usually yell. What does that mean for you? It means that in the midst of our busyness, we have to focus attention. We have to deal with the reality. Not even deal with it. The better word is accept the reality that God communicates quietly. Quietly. Did you hear the gospel? In case you missed it, I just want to go back over a little part of it. Jesus is in trouble in the gospel today. The verse, I think it was the first verse. Yes, the Pharisees went out and took counsel against Jesus to put him to death because he was challenging their laws. And this is what Jesus continued to do. He continued to heal people, and then listen. He said, "Behold my servant whom I have chosen, my beloved in whom I delight." These are the words of the prophet Isaiah describing Jesus. "I shall place my spirit upon him, and he will proclaim justice to the Gentiles. He will not contend or cry out, nor will anyone hear his voice in the streets." He will not contend or cry out. The word in the Greek, he won't contend or he won't cry out. It was used when you describe a dog barking. And I loved the animal noises last night, but I didn't think it was appropriate during Mass. You know, if I should bark up here or call one of you up here to bark. But you know what a barking dog sounds like? Or a crow that just is annoying. That's what the word, he won't do that. He won't bark at you. Or the yelling of a drunk person. You ever heard that? Happy New Year! Huh? Or the uproar of unhappy people at a football game when you get a bad call. Boo! You're blind, ref. He's not going to do that to you. He's not going to do that to you. About our time in Austria, it's the place where we live. It's a Carthusian monastery. You know, anybody ever heard of the Carthusians in here? Yeah, you've heard of Carthusians. This is fantastic. Carthusians don't speak much. It was a religious movement that comes out of the Middle Ages. There's a lot of prayers, lots of different prayers in monastic life. And the Carthusians said, we want silence so we can commune with God. So part of our program is, yes, you know, they travel everywhere. The school, we take them on trips to Salzburg, Vienna, Rome, et cetera, Poland. But part of it is we have Adoration Chapel 24/7. And a lot of their best moments, and a lot of our best moments this weekend are just with Him in silence. Brothers and sisters, I'll wrap it up. I'll land the plane here. But this is the point. God doesn't usually yell. And if you want to hear His voice, His calling, you have to do it on His terms. Now look, we are going to do a little adoration after Mass right now. I don't want to sketch adoration and prayer all about finding out what God wants you to do. Because it's not usually about that. It's not usually about, I want you to do this right now. It's usually about just being with Him. After college, I went down to South Texas from Michigan, deep South Texas, did a year of volunteer work. And my dad, he drove down with me. He drove down and then flew back. And I never realized at the time, but my dad and I, we had never spent that much time together. Never. Just one-on-one. It was like 3 days, just he and I. And it was absolutely fantastic. And I love that time. It's a dear memory. We didn't do nothing. We just spent time. That's what we're going to ask you to do a little bit this morning. Sometimes silence is scary. Sometimes silence is a place that you got to press into, but we'll be a little bit silent today and just be with Him. Just be with Him. In adoration, St. John Vianney was talking to a person, a farmer, and he said, "What do you do in adoration?" He says, "Well, I look at Him, and He looks at me." We'll do some of that. And that's, in terms of experiencing His limitless love, that's one of the most important things we'll do this weekend.